Hey, I got these Truthburgers, man. Want some?
No,
You can't handle the truth!
I just want to be in my safe space.
Pain has a face. Allow me to show it to you.
Horror movies have been surely making a resurgence in recent years, from prequels to sequels to requels. Don't get us wrong, we love seeing it. Hell, it might be mine's and Ollie's favorite genre of film. Something so simple as having a frightened chick get her skull crushed by a four-eyed freak under a William Shatner mask really gets our juices flowing. But despite this resurgence, we also see how incompetent the film industry can be when it comes to horror movies. According to Rotten Tomatoes, the average rating of Certified Fresh for such movies since the year 1980 sits at a poor 43%, despite horror requiring some of the lowest budgets to make. Really, dude, your one and only job is to scare folks in whatever way you want. This is quite ridiculous.
You idiot!
We decide to investigate what makes a good horror film and why so many get it wrong.
The Hardley Boys, two young whippersnappers with a taste for solving mysteries.
So me and Ollie sat down and revisited some classic horror films and some recent ones as well to see what they did that others just got wrong. Yes, you heard that right. Horror is fucking simple.
It's not that hard.
What do we mean by that?
Oh, Frank, seriously? I have such a raging clue right now. I think we better follow it.
It simply explores areas that are familiar to us. Why? Well, we look at everything through our own perspectives and put ourselves in that situation. When we see a movie, the more it relates to us, the scarier it is.
Take the premise of 1978's Halloween, for example. A story of an escaped psychopath named Michael Myers from a mental hospital unleashing silent carnage upon a group of teens on Halloween night. That's literally the story in a nutshell. Until the ending sequence, the story feels very real. It looks like it can happen in real life to any one of us. Our brain is triggered by this, and we wonder, what if I was Laurie Strode?
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit!
Or how about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre? 5 friends head out to rural Texas to visit the grave of a grandfather. On their way there, they stumble across what appears to be an abandoned house, only to discover the sinister truth within. This is a very realistic premise. This could be you.
Oh man! Oh god! Oh man!
It feels like a documentary at times, ramping up the scare factor. We as humans are frightened of this, imagining that we may find ourselves in the carnage unfolding in that Texas slaughterhouse. What we tend to be scared of is what is familiar to us, but with a sinister twist. That twist could be a father going insane and wanting to kill his own family.
Here's Johnny!
A mother's daughter possessed by the devil himself.
Do you know what she did, your canting daughter?
Or a house built on a graveyard. All sinister plots to rather ordinary and relatable stories.
This works because it's unsettling to watch something that's safe and familiar to us become corrupted. Convoluted stories where characters are hopelessly putting together clues that lead to nowhere, or worse, lead to multiple twists, become repetitive and mundane.
This is Ruby Lane. Ruby is one of Shady Side's killers, just like Skull Mask. 1978. 16 years ago, Milkman slashes a bunch of housewives. Before the witch's final breath, she found a way to cheat her death.
And the music fills.
And speaking of convoluted, how about 2019's Us, where the government managed to create clones of its citizens undetected, then disregard their clones and have them live under a fucking amusement park. Somehow nobody discovered them.
How can you write that crap?
A horror movie's setting and location is an important part of the plot. It can set the tone and atmosphere of the movie we're about to watch. More often than not, horror movies that take place in as few locations as possible, even just one, can be most effective. They allow us to get to know the characters more intimately and watch how they interact with one another. George A. Romero's 1968 classic, Night of the Living Dead, is a perfect example of this. A group of people, some of them strangers to one another, are trapped inside of a farmhouse surrounded by zombies. Instantly, there's a feeling of claustrophobia as these characters have nowhere to go, and it's made all the more worse by rising tensions and petty quarrels.
This is not a wrestling match! This is a fight on the town! My God, it's chaotic!
Plus, it helps that the location is a realistic one. Now, that doesn't mean that horror always has to be set in a real environment, but with the exception of 1979's Alien, a setting in space can get really fucking corny.
I could not believe it.
Ha, yeah, or when overly magical shit is used.
It's getting worse.
Or having too many locations. For example, Halloween Kills falls victims to this waste of time in a bunch of needless places just to introduce a ton of characters nobody gives a fuck about.
Evil dies tonight!
Shut the fuck up, man.
Now, you get the hell down in the cellar. You can be the boss down there. I'm boss up here.
Who doesn't like a good protagonist? They make us get invested in the film. The protagonist is supposed to have our support. We want them to survive. We want them to overcome the odds.
Together, we will overcome these odds!
If we care about our protagonist, we will be scared for them. And one way to do that is to make them relatable to us. Because no matter how much your girlfriend tells you otherwise, we love ourselves most. If we can see ourselves in a character, we will kick and scream to see them live.
Lord, I'm having a heart attack! Damn, this is some scary shit!
Think of Laurie Strode, for example. Her best friends Annie and Linda are more of the wild girl types, but Laurie is humble. She's innocent, quiet, and shy. Who doesn't naturally like these personalities? We feel for her immediately. While other characters in the film have fun with the opposite sex, Laurie is at home babysitting 2 kids. She's also smart, but doesn't come off as a smartass.
You were sleeping.
I was waiting for it to circle back.
So much could kill him.
It won't kill him. Just cool his blood. Cold is good. The medicine slows his blood. If he gets warm, he'll bleed out. Hey, do you want him to be comfortable or alive?
A hunter doesn't wait. He hunts. Could be here all night.
We could stalk the forest all night and not find anything, too.
She's an innocent girl, probably fed pigeons on her off days, donated her blood every chance she could. She would probably vomit if she saw an erect male.
Hey, Chris, what's with your leg? Oh my God, that's not your leg!
Alright, Aiden, I think we get it. Calm down. The point is, we like a protagonist that isn't a complete douche. Something Rob Zombie could have learned when he rebooted the franchise.
Look at this, Mom.
Lori!
I'm sorry,
Other lead characters like Nancy from A Nightmare on Elm Street and Kirsty from Hellraiser are also good examples. They are likable characters that are victims of unfortunate circumstances. They're even willing to sacrifice themselves for the people they love. Because of this, they win the audience over and don't confuse us like Danny from Midsommar, who smiles at the sight of her boyfriend being burned alive.
What the fuck?
Were we seriously supposed to root for her?
Please, God.
This is God.
From Jason Voorhees to Michael Myers to Freddy Krueger, a good antagonist is what gets eyes on a horror movie. It's always the selling point of the movie and draws people in. A good antagonist is so important it could lead to box office miracles, no matter how shit the movie is. But when we say good antagonist, we mean more than just the look.
Firstly, we're talking about mysteriousness. Many believe that a horror antagonist needs to be explained. This is false. The point can be made that the less we know about the antagonist, the scarier it is. Take 2018's Hereditary for example. We see Annie Graham and her family living through hell after their daughter Charlie is killed in a freak accident. From terrifying dreams and visions to a complete breakdown between what's left of the family, we witness these characters' lives completely collapse. We want to help them, but we don't even know what malevolent force is causing all of this, making us feel much more terrified of what's going on. We don't know why this is happening to them. It's only at the end that the antagonists are revealed to be a cult seeking to turn her son into a vessel for a demon.
Real hardy, but soft.
Oh, good lord.
Don't look directly into it, Lois.
The antagonist has to be a real threat too. When we see it, or him, or her, or them, the stakes need to be high. The antagonist needs to make us feel like our protagonist is in serious harm. Like the guy who talks the talk, but never delivers. We hate the antagonist who doesn't either.
I'm gonna knock you out every time we fight.
Pennywise in 2019's It Chapter 2 was hurt by this because this movie spent a finale doing close calls. When we see the characters constantly get away from the villain, said villain stops being a legitimate threat. Compare that to the first film where he literally butchered Georgie and established himself as legit from the get-go. You gotta have the antagonist put people on the edge once on the screen.
And speaking of the antagonist, more is less. Showing them too much devalues the effect. Take the original Nightmare on Elm Street for example. We see Freddy Krueger appear for a total of 7 minutes in the iconic film. 7 minutes, people. It's taken me longer to take out my garbage.
Garbage day! Huh? No!
When Wes Craven was asked about this, he said he wanted to leave as much to the imagination as possible. Freddy was hence hidden, but his presence loomed large in nearly every scene. When he did appear, he'd indeed leave a mark.
Come to Freddy.
Much more effective than stupid jump scares every 5 minutes. In the original Hellraiser, Pinhead and the Xenobites are hardly on screen, but whenever they do appear, man is it unsettling. The new Hellraiser, however, does the opposite, showing the new Hell Priest so much that we don't even care. At one point, the film shows the Hell Priest literally waiting outside a mansion for the good guys to come out. This is unnecessary. It devalues the villain. You might as well have shown the new Pinhead surfing the web at home, or eating a burrito, or enjoying Christmas time with the Xenobite family in hell. Overexposure is boring, and in this context, it's not scary.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect.
Yes, this topic deserves its own section apart from the main characters. Because if there's one constant in bad horror movies, it's the existence of characters we give zero fucks about. Going back to realism, we see that characters who look, talk, and act like real people. As a matter of fact, horror is one genre where you want characters to deliver realistic reactions since the point is to scare us.
Michael, you've come home.
Take Midsommar for example. Every character seems to be a complete passive-aggressive dickwad. Characters in this film witness a live suicide and brush it off moments later like it's typical. They drink drinks laced with menstrual blood and are okay with it.
Oh my god, dude, what the fuck?
Is that? What is that?
Is that a fucking pube? Dude, calm down.
Oh, shit!
Then you had this fucktard act like a clown under the most serious circumstances.
It's a dead tree, though. It's dead.
Yeah, I know, but it's important to us.
I just had to pee. I didn't know it was special.
Who the fuck relates to these morons? None of this makes us care for them, since only fictional characters in a movie can react so indifferent to traumatic events. Halloween Kills is another train wreck that hits us with 97 characters who each have something to say about Michael Myers.
Evil dies tonight!
Each character is as uninteresting and more pathetic than the last, making stupid decision after stupid decision.
Now compare that to Steven Spielberg's Poltergeist, where people actually react to ghosts and hauntings how, you would actually expect actual people would react. You'll see the difference.
Steven, come on, you do it.
Oh.
Oh, come on, honey, try. We've been trying to hold ourselves. No one's been sleeping.
Don't look back!
Through their reactions and responses, we understand the seriousness of their predicament. There are no jokes and downplaying of the situation. That is why we cared. The characters actually had a brain and reacted the way any one of us would.
Oh my God! Sorry, I just got a weird gas bubble for a second.
Now, in our past reviews, we know that me and Aiden haven't always been kind to movies when we examine their themes, especially when they seem to be sprinkled with woke social justice shit. But contrary to popular belief, we do appreciate themes, just not the weird shit we're constantly being fed. A good theme or themes really drive home a movie's message. It makes you think and want to examine and revisit said movie even as the years go by. It gives an important layer to the film's significance, a lasting message to the audiences, and horror films are some of the best movies that explore these aspects of filmmaking. A Nightmare on Elm Street explores topics such as the psychology of our nightmares and the experiences teenagers endure through adolescence.
You'll feel better when you get some sleep.
Feel better? You call this feeling better? Or maybe I should grab that bottle and veg out with you. Avoid everything happening to me by just getting good and loaded.
You don't know what it's like to be a baby going through puberty. I don't know whether to watch Yo Gabba Gabba or go out and tame some strange.
Even the second sequel, Dream Warriors, centers on a group of kids in a psychiatric hospital, touching on topics such as drug addiction and self-harm.
How about the rest of you all tell Nancy something about yourselves?
Hi, I'm Will Stanton, and I've had a little accident, as you can see. Ended up in this chair.
Accident my ass.
Hey, so he took a jump. At least he wasn't sticking needles in his arm with a bunch of lowlives.
Y'all act like crack is so bad!
Hellraiser explores human nature when it comes to greed and carnal desires and pleasures.
I thought I'd gone to the limits. I hadn't. The Cenobites gave me an experience beyond the limits. Pain and pleasure, indivisible.
Ah! Oh, thank you! Thank you!
On the other hand, movies like 1982's The Thing show the paranoia and mistrust that man will sometimes have for his fellow man.
You guys gonna listen to Gary? You gonna let him give the orders? I mean, he could be one of those things!
I don't know about copper, but I give you my word I did not go near that blood.
Something that resembled the Cold War tensions at the time of the film's release.
Mr. Gorbachev.
What are your preferred pronouns?
Yeah. For example, 1988's They Live makes us question consumerism and product placement. Other horror films will venture into topics such as socioeconomic themes like Candyman.
You guys want to hear a scary story? Is my rosé still in the freezer?
No, not that crap. I'm talking about the original 1992 Candyman. While others will lean into the spiritual, faith, religion, and afterlife.
I need out. I'm unfit. I think I've lost my faith, Tom.
Some people believe that when you die, your soul goes to heaven.
There are many more themes and subtext to these movies than just the obvious ones we have already mentioned. The point being that oftentimes a horror movie's villain is just a backdrop to a film's subtext and real message. Great horror is timeless in part because of its interesting and complex themes.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact,
It was.
And with that said, these are most important factors of making an effective horror film. Ollie and I could have said so much more because we truly love the horror genre, but this shit is already too long.
This is taking too long!
And our single mom seems to be getting into it with her new alcoholic boyfriend. I hope she finds us a better dad soon. Anyhow, this is a simple formula that is often overcomplicated by these jackasses who never seem to get it right. It is a formula of things that should be carefully balanced, but ultimately the benefits of horror is that it does not need action or explosions to wow us. It is, after all, mostly psychological. Horror is built on feelings of fear, and fear is best served as something simple, relatable, or subtle. And now that you know the common ABCs of a good horror movie, why don't you go out there and make one yourself, sport? And that's all, folks. We are Aiden and Ollie.
And we're our single mom's whole world.
And please, stop swiping left on her Tinder profile.